What's up guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to make a full hard melodic rave techno track, all the way from the kick to the arrangement, literally everything about the track. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this track is available at the top of the description. And yeah, thank you so much for all the support guys, it really helps keep me going. Every sale makes a big difference, so definitely don't hesitate to go grab that, and let's dive in. So, this is a track, we're at 140 BPM, and it starts with the kick. So we got a nice punchy kick, this hard AF kick, and then we have the bass tom. So I've talked about this technique a little bit before, but I've really perfected it here, I think. So basically what's happening is it's a tom sample, like a tom, like an acoustic tom drum. And then what's happening is you pitch it down and low pass it, and then it's playing 16th notes, and you get this nice low rumble techno bass. And then there's like a little bit of a really short reverb on there, a compressor which side chains it to the main kick, another EQ to just cut out some of those low frequencies that we don't need, and cut out some more highs, and then finally we're just converting it to mono at the end. So it's another simple way to make this bass. I've heard this in a lot of these tracks that you guys probably heard in the style as well. And then on the group here, the only effects we have, you can see, are just some filters which are automating throughout the track. Like we have a high pass, low pass as well, which is bringing the kick in at the start. And then just this EQ here, which is cutting out the low frequencies that you wouldn't hear, that would kind of cut out some headroom in your mix and give you some problems. Then we have actually the snare. So this is a pretty popular technique for making the snares in these style of tracks in that nice. What you do is you take a 909 snare and a 909 clap. So from the 909 drum machine, very simple. And then you put a little bit of reverb, and then distort them. And you want a pretty heavy distortion. And basically by putting these two sounds through the distortion at the same time, you get that like crunchy kind of sound. So that's how you make that. Then we have the percussion. So what we've got here are we have these two loops which are adding some kind of texture. You notice one is very much in the mid-range, and then one's very much in the high end. And then we also have this 909 hi-hat. So lots of 909 sounds for the drums here, and then a ride. You want to keep it pretty simple, not too many loops, not too much percussion, but just enough to keep it exciting and keep the track moving. Then we have this Reese bass. So we're in the key of C minor, except I kind of break it at the end, which I'll explain. So basically we're doing root note, 6th, 4th. Root note, 6th, 4th, and then this C sharp here, which is technically not in the key, but again, it just sounds really cool. And that's the thing, it's not always about what's doing like right musically. It's also about just sounding interesting. And so for this sound, it's made with this instrument rack here, where we have one operator, which is two saw waves with a bunch of unison, you can see over here, and then one wavetable here, which is just a square wave with no unison. When you put those together, you get this really full thing. And then you can see I have the filter frequency mapped to this macro here, which is how we're automating it. And you can see there's lots of automation and movement throughout the track. Then we have a bit of drum bus to fatten these up. You can see I'm using the dry wet. It's important to blend this and not just sort of over distort it. We have a compressor, which is just side chaining into the kick, and then a high pass filter, and that's it for that. And then we have this 303. So this is just playing one note, just the root note C. You can see it fits well with the bass, even though they're kind of both in the same range. And that's the key. You want to make sure this doesn't clash with any of these other sounds if you're going to have something like this. But yeah, this just fills out the bottom of the track a little bit more. And it gives you something that's a synth, but it's also rhythmic and percussive. And so this is a pretty simple patch. It's just a saw wave going into a bandpass filter. You can see that's got an envelope. And the secret to this is the shaper, but also there's an LFO on the filter. You're getting lots of movement there and lots of that little like warbly sound. We have a short reverb, a little bit of an amp here, a compressor, side chaining into the kick, high pass filter and low pass filter, which bring in and out throughout the track. And then we just have a bit of reverb, which is just for this one part to make it disappear. Then we have this string, which I've talked about these before, but it's one of these where you have your bass playing like this chord progression, and then this string here just plays chords with that. These aren't the same notes that the bass is playing, but it changes at the same time as the bass notes change, and you get this very nice, interesting kind of chord happening. And this is made with wavetable. It's a square wave and then a sine wave, actually. With this noise unison, it's all the way up. I've got a little bit of reverb, which has some automation to kind of... Yeah, you can see that. We've got a low pass filter, which brings us in and out. And then it's just being side changed to the kick. Then we have the lead. So if we're looking at this in terms of this musical scale, basically we're doing the root note, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the minor seventh, another sixth, another fifth, root note. These are all just pretty much the fourth, the fifth, sixth, the root note. And then if you want to bring in, like I said, that minor seventh there. But it's a pretty simple interval. It's just about choosing like 3 or 4 or 5 notes like this and really sticking to them and making a rhythm out of those rather than adding a bunch of extra notes that aren't in that. This sound is just made with wavetable. It's just a saw wave with a square wave and then just noise unison. Bit of echo, a little bit of reverb, and then just low pass, which is kind of moving it throughout the track, and then it's being sidechained to the kick. And then the last synth we have here is the string. So the way this is made is it's this whistling, and yeah, you can see I've just taken this inside of the sampler, and we're using the loop here to make it like an endless loop. And then I actually had this vocoder on here, so here's without it. So you can see the vocoder and the flanger are kind of like working together here to give this a little bit more texture. But this is a great way to add something to the background that isn't just like another saw wave or a square wave. Because like, you know, when you're just working with those same basic synthesis like sort of concepts, it can kind of start to sound a lot of the same really quick, right? So this is an easy way. Just take like yourself whistling or singing or something and kind of make a pad out of it that's going to be just a lot more interesting and more textured that's going to fit well into the track. And it just plays 2 notes, that's all you need. Then we just have these effects. We've got like these little vocal effects. I call this stuff in the intro to keep it exciting. We've got a few things throughout the track. The key is with this style, you really don't need that many effects. And you don't want too many effects either. Because if you use too many, it's going to get really like flat. And kind of messy too. You really want to let the instruments up here do the actual like transitions. But these little effects can help here and there. So that's what we have. And yeah. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets. Every single thing from this track is available at the top of the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Thank you so much to everybody who goes to grab this. It really helps support me if you buy it. You know, I don't make a whole lot just off of YouTube. But you can get this great template plus help support me for a very low price. So thank you so much to everybody who goes and does that. Really appreciate all the support. And I will see you tomorrow with another video.